Hello, I am Reverend Richard Bunch. Welcome back. I suggest you complete the reading assignment before watching Module 2. I will be sharing what I consider the simplest and most inclusive definition of that source and force that created each of us in its own image. God is. When we can be comfortable knowing God is, we begin to relax into our beingness, our oneness, and our experiencing God from within. Please complete your template for Module 2 as you watch this presentation. In 1999, I heard for the first time this quote you see on the screen. Take a minute to read slowly John Randolph Price's Understanding of God. In your journaling this week, you might contemplate on this quote and write what it means to you. Jesus met a woman at the well during his travels. As she realized that this was no regular person, she asked the question of Jesus, "Where do you think God is? In the mountains or in the temple?" Jesus said, "God is spirit." A little over 2,000 years later, Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, wrote in the Revealing Word, "God is spirit, and spirit is located and appears wherever it is recognized by an intelligent entity. It thus follows that whoever gives his attention to spirit and seals his identification with it by his word starts a flow of spirit life and all the attributes of spirit in and through his consciousness. To the extent that a person practices identifying oneself with the one and only source of existence, that person becomes spirit until finally the person becomes one with spirit, until finally the union attains a perfection in which he can say with Jesus, "I and the Father are one." I personally call myself spirit. And when I go within, I feel the energy that is spirit guiding and directing and loving me. Emily Cady said God has attributes. An attribute of God is spirit, as we just discussed. God is love, unconditional love. Love can be conditional or unconditional. God cannot love us because unconditional love sees within every person their true nature, their perfection. God is love. You are loving. God is wisdom, and you are wise. Within the mind of the universe is all the knowledge and experience for every situation you find yourself in. When we trust Spirit, Spirit will provide the necessary guidance to overcome any situation, mend any relationship, and heal any health challenge. We can call on the power of wisdom to free us from any form of perceived bondage. God is life. Life is for living. Life is to manifest God, to love unconditionally, and to be grateful and joyous. God is life. Substance is energy, and I believe substance is God energy. God energy is the underlying ability to manifest good, abundance, and to co-create with Spirit our highest desires. In a later module, we will talk more specifically on how to use the law of mind action to achieve a life of peace and joy. Another way of understanding our relationship with God is to understand the four paradoxes we call God. God is principle, and God is personal. You might ask how God can be principle and yet be personal. God is love, spirit, wisdom, life, substance. These are principles. For example, God can only love you because principle is never changing and always present. God is also personal because when I experience love or life, I experience those principles through my emotions. God is love as principle. Then I feel compassion, which is personal. A principle becomes personal when I embrace, experience, and live the principle itself. God is transcendent and immanent. God is not transcendent as above and beyond us, but is transcendent because God is everywhere present. God is all and in all. In all as a presence which is the individualized Christ presence, Spirit, that dwells within and provides personal guidance, personal spiritual understanding. Tennyson tells us, "Closer is he than breathing, nearer than hands or feet." The third paradox, God is feminine and masculine. God is not a male or female. Some of the attributes of God have a feminine quality and some have a masculine quality. Wisdom is feminine, for example, and substance is considered a masculine characteristic. When you look at the powers that are within each of us, the masculine and feminine attributes work together to create the wholeness of the Christ consciousness. God is grace and law. God is grace. Grace is the ability to forgive ourselves, forgive others, and honor all people. Grace is love in action. Through the power of love, we overcome fear. Through the power of love, we find the light. Through the power of love, we are able to connect to the power within. Law, on the other hand, may seem to be the opposite of grace. When we seek the law, we might think we must be accountable to God. However, we are talking about divine law, which is the orderly working out of the principles of being, or divine ideas, expressing and manifesting throughout creation. Following the law allows us to work in perfect harmony and to pave our way into spiritual consciousness. The Unity Trinity is a metaphysical interpretation of the Trinity taught in most Christian denominations. The Father, meaning God, the Son, meaning only Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit are the Spirit of God in action. Unity says the Father is divine mind, omniscience. From divine mind comes a divine idea. This idea is that we are all daughters and sons of God. And in that divine idea, it was not meant just for Jesus. Instead, each of us is a perfect idea in divine mind. God sees our perfection and supports us in awakening to divine within as we come to discover the power within us. The third part of the Unity Trinity is divine expression. Divine expression is the executive power in divine mind. The Holy Spirit that resides within each of us leads us to awaken to the individual consciousness that calls us forward into the light. Next week we will apply tonight's ideas to the threefold nature of humankind and the three levels of consciousness. Remember, God is one, God is whole, and God is holy. You are one, you are whole, and you are holy. Thank you, and have a great week.